The iPod's design was not original. It was inspired by this pocket radio of the 50s. But what do an iPod, this IKEA sofa, and this Bang & Olufsen speaker all have in common? Product-wise, nothing. Design-wise, they all have the same origins. This is the story of how one man, Dieter Rams, and one company, Braun, set the gold standards for what we now call good design. And believe it or not, the ripple effects are still felt today, influencing the gadgets we use and love. In today's video, we'll uncover how Rams took Braun to new heights, explore the iconic design that shaped an era, and how his principle continued to evolve and influence the biggest brand around the world. You might even be holding one of these influence products in your hand right now. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, please consider subscribing if you like to watch more content related to design and science behind products. And now, let's talk about the man of the hour, Dieter Rams. If you're into design at all, you've probably heard this name thrown around a lot. Rams was Braun's chief of design from 1960 to mid-90s, and his impact on design is legendary. Although he was an architect, but his education provided him with a solid foundation in both the technical and aesthetic aspect of design. During time, he was also influenced by the modernist movement, particularly the Bauhaus school, which advocated for functional, clean and simple design. Now, in 1955, when Rams was just 23 years old, he landed a gig at Braun, a small German company that was mostly known for its audio and radio equipment. Braun was about to undergo a massive transformation under the leadership of the Braun brothers, Erwin and Arthur. They were looking to shake things up and set themselves apart in the crowded electronics market. Rams was originally hired as an architect and interior designer, but Braun brothers quickly saw that Rams had this incredible knack for design, especially when it came to simplifying things down to their most essential form. So it wasn't long before Rams moved from designing interiors to designing products. And by 1961, he was the head of design at Braun. But how Dieter Rams really took Braun to new heights? To see the difference, we have to move back in time even further. Before Rams came along, Braun was just another electronics company, mostly making radios and small appliances. They had some solid products, but nothing that really stood out in a crowded market. Like this Cosmophone 777C from the 1930s. This was a radio phonograph with integrated speakers and a record drive, which was actually quite innovative back in the day. But the focus wasn't really on the design, it was all about functionality. You've got these large, bulky metal knobs for changing the frequency of the radio and adjusting the volume. And then there are some other metal components for the record player, like the needle and the motor. And for the body, they mostly used wood, and not just for its acoustic properties. These devices were meant to be a part of the living room, blending in with the rest of the furniture rather than standing out. Braun's philosophy was all about harmony with the home. They cleverly chose wood with the right grain size and alignment to match the furniture of the time. You can even see these small internal fillets, which were a common design element in the furniture back then. Then there's Braun Cosmophone 333W radio. Radios were one of Braun's main product categories, and here again, you see that dual-tone wood body and those same detailed metal knobs. But this radio is special for another reason. Check out this arc-shaped design element here. This arc actually became part of Braun's logo. The arc-shaped A in the logo symbolized Braun's traditional radio. And then, in the 1950s, something interesting happened. A bunch of designers from the Bauhaus school joined Braun. They were instrumental in transitioning these devices to be more design-focused. Look at this multi-mix blender, this smooth face massager, and this combi radio. We started seeing neutral colors for the devices with bold colors on the interactive elements like knobs and buttons. This was to clearly signal to the user's brain where to focus. But even with these changes, you can still see there were some extra details. The designs hadn't yet reached the level of simplicity and refinement that would come later. There was still a lot of room to strip things down and make them even simpler. So when Rams started working on his first project, which was a radio phonograph called the SK4, he made it even simpler. If you look at the design of this device, it has a metal housing which is contained between two wooden sides in a transparent epoxy cover. There are clean horizontal speaker lines on the front and the mechanism for the record player on the top surface. And the transparent epoxy cover very cleverly highlights the mechanism instead of hiding it. But one of the main reasons why people, and the Braun brothers loved it so much because it truly highlighted the core values of Braun to this day, which was to make the product a part of the home. The wooden sides made it blend into the living room, staying true to Braun's tradition of harmonizing with the home environment. The metal housing made it easy to manufacture in mass numbers, and the natural colors and the transparent cover made it even simpler. The SK4 wasn't just about simplifying design, it was about enhancing the user experience. By keeping things transparent and straightforward, Rams were saying, hey, this is how it works and there's nothing to hide here. It was a perfect balance of form and function, beautiful to look at and incredibly easy to use. Now that we have talked about the SK4, let's dive deep into how data Rams continue to shape Braun's audio devices with a keen focus on materials and design details. Each product here represents a step forward in its philosophy of combining simplicity with functionality. First up, the Braun T3 Pocket Radio from 1958. The T3 was all about portability and ease of use. Its compact size was revolutionary for the time, designed to fit comfortably in your hand and in your pocket. The body was made of high-quality matte plastic, which is both lightweight and durable, perfect for a portable device. It had a simple monochromous color scheme, mostly in black or white, which emphasized its straightforward functionality. Notice how there are only two dials, one for tuning and one for volume. They are made of a contrasting smooth plastic, which is slightly glossy to catch the light, making them easy to locate and use even without looking directly at the device. And check out this perforated grille on the front. It's not just for aesthetics, it's designed to optimize sound output while maintaining that clean modern look. The holes are precisely cut and evenly spaced, giving the T3 a distinctive, refined appearance that's both functional and visually pleasing. The design is all about minimalism, nothing unnecessary, just pure functionality. Next, we have the Braun LE1 speaker from 1959. This was actually the first electrostatic speaker available to the public, and you can see how its design reflects that cutting-edge technology. The LE1 has a flat rectangular panel that houses the speaker, surrounded by a thin metal frame. The panel itself is covered in a fine mesh fabric which is acoustically transparent but adds a subtle texture to the otherwise sleek design. This fabric also helps to protect the delicate electrostatic elements inside while contributing to the speaker's clean minimalistic look. Notice how thin this metal frame is. It's barely there. It's made of brushed aluminium, which is strong yet lightweight. This choice of material not only provides structural integrity but also enhances the modern aesthetic of the speaker. The brushed finish gave it a soft matte appearance that complements the fabric-covered panel, creating a cohesive, understated design that focuses entirely on the sound experience. Now let's look at the Braun TP1 from 1959, which is essentially a portable radio and record player in one. The TP1's body is made of robust plastic with a smooth matte finish that resists fingerprints and scratches, perfect for a device designed to be taken on the go. The color palette is simple, usually a neutral gray or white with black accents on the dial and buttons, making it easy to integrate into any setting. On the top, you have this compact record player mechanism, which is incredibly streamlined. The arm and needle are made of lightweight metal, which reduces wear and tear and provides a more consistent playback. The buttons are small and precise, with a slight tactile resistance that ensures they won't be pressed accidentally. This attention to material choice and tactile feedback is a hallmark of Ram's design. Everything is there for a reason, and everything just feels right. Moving on to Braun's RT20 radio from 1961, this piece showcased Ram's talent for creating functional yet beautiful objects. The RT20 has smooth plastic front panel that's almost seamless with only a few visible elements. It's finished in a soft off-white color that's warm and inviting, contrasting with the black tuning dial and volume knob. Knobs themselves are made of a high-quality plastic with a slightly rubberized coating, giving them a pleasant grip and feel. Look at this tuning dial. It's large and easy to read with clear bold markings that stand out against the neutral background. The dial moves smoothly and precisely thanks to its finely engineered internal components. This combination of form and function is what makes the RT20 a perfect example of Ram's design ethos. Straightforward, intuitive, and elegantly simple. But of course, his work was not limited to audio devices. While his 40 years at Braun, he worked on a bunch of other products like calculator, mixer, watches, etc. Each of these products made a statement with their unique design and color choices. And you can see his influence on products made by other designers while he was the head of design. Like this HT2 sleek toaster, this HLD231 hair dryer, both of which has a dynamic and sleek mixture of metal and plastic. This MR6 hand blender and this PGS 1200 hair dryer, both of which have amazing hand ergonomics and use of natural and simple colors. And finally, these two timekeeping devices, AV1 and AW10, both of which use the same theory of using popping colors for special functional elements. Rams left the position of head of design at Braun in 1995, and you can see the impact of this in the products that were launched after that. There's a very visible change in the design language, use of colors, and complexity of products. When you look at products like the new Braun shavers, trimmers, and hand blenders, the sense of simplicity in design, materials, colors, and overall aesthetics is clearly missing. It feels like that after the departure of Rams, the company forgot the legacy created by him. These newer products, while innovative in their own right, seem to have lost that distinct Rams touch of simplicity, functionality, and the thoughtful use of materials. They started to follow trends rather than set them, which is quite a departure from the design ethos Rams championed during his time at Braun. But while Braun may have moved in a different direction, the design world certainly did not forget Rams. In fact, many companies have embraced his design principles, and his influence is more visible today than ever before. Take Apple for example. Under the leadership of Johnny Ive, Apple's products have often been compared to Rams' work at Braun. Both have clean lines, minimal interfaces, and a focus on functionality. The iPod, with its simple rectangular form, flat surface, and intuitive click wheel, echoes the design of Braun's T3 pocket radio. It's also a small rectangular device with a smooth, uncluttered front surface. Instead of multiple buttons and dials, the iPod features a single intuitive click wheel that serves as both a navigational tool and a button. This design choice simplifies the interface, making the device incredibly easy to use, just like the T3's two dial button systems. Both devices embody Rams' principle that good design is as little design as possible. They strip away the unnecessary, focusing on essential functionality. The T3 was designed to be a portable, easy-to-use radio, and its minimal interface reflects that. The iPod too was created with the portability and simplicity in mind. Its click wheel design was a breakthrough in making digital music accessible and enjoyable. Next, let's look at similarities between Braun Calculator and iPhone's Calculator app. The ET66 is a beautiful example of Rams' belief in the power of simplicity. Its design is incredibly clean, featuring a grid of rounded buttons in a rectangular layout. Each button is identical in shape and size, clearly labeled with bold, legible numbers and symbols. The entire interface is intuitive and user-friendly, minimizing distraction and focusing on calculator's primary function using different colors for each type of functions. Now, if you look at iPhone's Calculator app, the influence of the ET66 on Apple's calculator design is immediately apparent. The app features a very similar grid layout of rounded buttons, with each button occupying an equal amount of space on the screen. The color scheme, a dark background with white and orange buttons, mimics the ET66 contrasting color design, emphasizing clarity and ease of use. Apple isn't just borrowing from Rams, they are extending his philosophy into the digital age. The idea that a product should be intuitive and easy to use is a core principle that Rams instilled in all his design at Braun. Apple took that principle and ran with it, creating products that not only look great but also work beautifully without a lot of fuss. They even go as far as hiding the screws and buttons, much like Rams did, to keep the design as clean and simple as possible. And Apple took it even one step further. They didn't just simplify the outer appearances, but focused heavily on making the internals simple and clutter-free. They truly take the spirit of simple design to whole another level by simplifying it inside and out. But sometimes that comes at a cost of ports and need of extra parasite products. Then there's IKEA, the Swedish furniture giant that has made a name for itself by offering stylish, functional, and affordable home goods. IKEA's design philosophy aligns closely with Ram's principle: simplicity, functionality, and democratic design. Much of IKEA's furniture features clean lines, neutral colors, and an emphasis on practicality. Take the Billy bookcase or the Clip-on sofa. Both are minimalist in design, made from simple materials like wood and fabric, and are incredibly versatile. IKEA's focus on sustainability and longevity also mirror Ram's belief that good design should last for many years and avoid being wasteful. Just like Ram's design, IKEA products are meant to be timeless, blending seamlessly into any home without becoming outdated. And of course, then there is Bang & Olufsen. This Danish company is known for its higher-end audio products, and you can clearly see Ram's influence in their design. Take their Biosound Edge speaker for example. It's a beautiful, minimalist piece that could easily be mistaken for a Braun product. The clean lines, simple shape, and use of premium materials like aluminium and fabric are all reminiscent of Ram's work. The Beoplay A9 speaker, with its circular shape and minimal control interface, also draws a direct line back to the Braun L1 speaker, both in terms of visual simplicity and the integration of objects into the home environment. B&O's emphasis on both aesthetic beauty and high-quality sound aligns perfectly with Ram's idea that good design should be both functional and aesthetically pleasing. Their products aren't just speakers, they are pieces of art that complements the space they inhabit, much like the L1 and other Braun designs. And it's not just Apple, IKEA, and B&O. Nearly every company that's embraced minimalist design in recent years has been influenced by Ram's in some way. Whether it's Samsung's sleek minimalist TV, Muji's no-frills stationery and home goods, or even Tesla's streamlined automotive interiors, the echoes of Ram's design principles are everywhere. These brands have taken Ram's timeless ideas and applied them to the modern world, proving that good design is indeed as little design as possible. They've shown that by focusing on the essentials, you can create things that stand the test of time. So we've talked a lot about Dieter Rams and his immense influence on the modern design. But what exactly are the core ideas that made his design so timeless? He encapsulated his philosophy in what he called the 10 principles of good designs. In the late 70s, Dieter Rams began to consolidate and summarize his Braun's design philosophy. Inspired by Bauhaus, Owen, Fritz Eichler, and his colleagues at Braun, Rams formulated 10 very influential theses for designing these products that are intuitive, useful, and durable. These principles have served as a guide for designers all over the world for decades. You can see all of the 10 on screen here. Now, while these principles are still incredibly relevant today, some of them have evolved with time, and others might continue to change as we move into future. Take the first principle: good design is innovative. This one has probably changed the least. Innovation remains at the heart of good design. However, the nature of innovation has evolved. Back in Ram's day, innovation was often about the use of new materials or mechanical innovation, like the transparent lid of the SK4 that showcased its mechanisms. Today, innovation often means integrating digital technology seamlessly into our lives. Think about how smartphones have become an extension of ourselves, or how smart home devices integrate into our daily routines without us even thinking about them. Although the physical aspect is very little here, as most of the products back in the day are replaced by apps, but even then the functionality and interaction design is something that still remains the same. iPhone's calculator is a great example that we already discussed earlier. Now let's talk about a principle that has become far more important over time. Good design is environmental friendly. When Rams first outlined his principle, environmental concerns were not as prominent in the public consciousness as they are today. The focus was more on durability and long-lasting design to prevent waste. Today, this principle has expanded to include the entire life cycle of a product: how it's made, what it's made up of, how it's used, and how it's disposed or recycled. Companies are now thinking about sustainability at every step of the design process, from using recycled materials to designing for disassembly, so products can be easily repaired or recycled. Speaking of good design is long-lasting, this principle is still very much valued, but the context has changed a bit. In Ram's time, long-lasting means creating a product that was durable and timeless in design. something that wouldn't break down easily and wouldn't look out of place as trends change. Today, while durability is still crucial, long-lasting also includes software longevity. Think about how frustrating it is when a perfectly good smartphone becomes obsolete because it cannot support the latest software updates. Designers today are increasingly focused on creating products that not only stand the test of time physically, but also in terms of functionality and usability over many years. Next, let's talk about good design is as little design as possible. This principle is all about minimalism, eliminating the unnecessary and focusing on the essential. This is still hugely relevant, especially with the current trend towards minimalistic design in tech and home goods. However, what might change is how we interpret minimalism. As we integrate more technology into our lives, the balance between a minimalist aesthetic and functional complexity becomes trickier. As design continues to evolve, we might even see new principles emerging. For example, good design is adaptive, could become a core principle as we demand products that can evolve with our needs and technology. Good design is inclusive, is already gaining traction, focusing on creating products that are accessible to everyone, regardless of ability. And good design is transparent, might be important in an age where data privacy and ethical design practices are increasingly in the spotlight. Ram's philosophy is more than just a set of rules for creating beautiful products. It's a mindset that challenges designers to think about the purpose and impact of their work. It reminds us that design isn't just about aesthetics. It's about making products that are useful, honest, and long-lasting. And as we have seen, while some of Ram's principles remain unchanged, others have evolved to meet the demands of our rapidly changing world. So I think the biggest takeaway here is that good design is never static. It evolves, adapts, and responds to the need of the time while staying true to its core values. As designers and consumers, we all have a role to play in shaping the future of design, whether it's through the products we create or through the choices we make in our everyday life. And as we move forward, let's strive not just for good design, but for great design that enhances our lives, respects our environment, and stands the test of time. That's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more insights into the science of product. See you next time. Thank you.